We are now in the meeting. Council agenda. Township of Parsippany Troy Hills, regular township meeting, regular township council meeting of December 15th, 2020. Introduction, posting of notice. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Law by filing notice in the office of the township clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the municipal building on December 18th, 2019, where it remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in the Daily Record and the New York Star Ledger on December 23rd, 2019, and was forwarded by fax to other local newspapers and local radio stations on December 18th, 2019. Note, council meetings are videotaped and aired on public access channel 21 at 7 p.m. Sundays and Wednesdays, and are also available for viewing at www.parsippany.net. Flag salute. Mayor, I'll turn it over to you to lead us in the flag salute, please. Mayor, there?
Thank you. No, thank you, Clerk. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Clerk.
Okay, now we're going to get into roll call. Mr. Carriffy?
Here.
Ms. Grignani?
Here.
Ms. Peterson?
Here.
Ms. McCarthy?
Here.
And Mr. DePiero?
Here.
Okay, also on, we have Amy Peroni from our insurance. We have Stephen Perlman from Stanberry. We have Mayor Michael Soriano. We have Business Administrator Fred Carr. And we have our CFO, Juan Uribe. We also have the attorney, Fred Gimlott. Council President, quorum, can I begin?
Please.
Thank you. Upcoming meetings, January 5th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m., the reorganization and agenda meeting. January 19th, 2021 at 7 p.m., the regular meeting. Approval of minutes, the regular meeting of October 20th, 2020. Can I please have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Ms. Carriffy. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, and now moving along to presentations. Mayor?
Thank you, Clerk. Greetings to everyone out there. Today, if you notice, the sun set at 4:30, and this morning the sun rose probably a little bit after 7 o'clock. And anyone who's lived life just realized this time of year is a lot darker than the rest of the year. Now, this Monday is the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. And it just seems that for many reasons, some of them religious sometimes, but there are other reasons why people like to gather around this time of year and have things related to light, whether it's Diwali, whether it's Hanukkah, whether it's Christmas, or even the winter solstice. Gatherings of family, of food, revelry, and that's going to be a lot harder for everyone this year. And it's all because we know that in doing that with people that we're not regularly exposed to, we could get them sick. That's what the Thanksgiving surge was and is that we're dealing with right now. But I want people to do everything that they can to enjoy the holidays this year, but to be as safe as possible. And I would like to wish to the council, to the staff here, to our guests and everyone here, I want to wish you all a happy holiday. However you celebrate it, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Three Kings Day, Happy Festivus, whatever it is you celebrate. Please enjoy, and may grace keep you. Thank you, Clerk. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. So just very quickly before we move on to the Township Council, for the golf, the Knoll Country Club Golf Advisory Committee, we have two appointments. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put them up for appointment. We'll go ahead for the roll call. We have a regular member for a 3-year term expiring September 30th, 2021 by the name of Steve Mendel. Can I please have a motion to approve the appointment?
Before you do that, I would just like to explain that this is normally a 12-member committee, and we have 12 members now, except Kevin Brancato, as general manager of the Knoll, is now an ex officio member, which kind of leaves a vacancy. And I am appointed by the council, not by the mayor, so that kind of is a vacancy too. So just to make this legitimate, okay, we do have 2 openings, and the mayor's recommendations are fine.
Thank you, Council President. Could I have
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Could I have a motion to accept the appointment of Steve Mendel, please?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Okay, the second appointment, regular member, 3-year term expiring September 30th, 2021 is Bernard Clarkin. Could I have a motion to approve the appointment, please?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call. Mr. Carriffy,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, now going on to the presentations and reports for Township Council. I turn it over to you, Council President.
Well, I would just like to wish everybody a happy and healthy holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, or whatever. Happy and healthy to everybody.
Anyone else from the Township Council?
So I'd like to wish the same to everyone.
Me too. I also just want to acknowledge everyone's work on getting it sounds like from, and maybe Mr. Carr, if you want, Business Administrator Carr, if you want to let us know, it does sound like the cases at Town Hall of COVID-19 have come under control. And I just wanted to thank everyone, Loretta and Janice, especially, for sharing my concern. And it seems like the work is working.
Any other member from council?
Wishing everyone a safe and happy holiday.
Me as well. Hope you have a happy, healthy holiday and we get through this year.
Okay, thank you. Township Attorney Jim Lott.
Let me join my colleagues in extending holiday wishes to everyone, happy and healthy. At a prior council meeting, we had a question about the Jersey City water agreement and its renewal. And at that time, I didn't have my cheat sheet with me, but I do tonight. Just in terms of key points, we had a 5-year agreement that expires at the end of December. We renewed the agreement with Jersey City for a 10-year period. We increased the township's ability to purchase water from Jersey City from 100 million gallons a year to 150 million gallons a year. The rate increase was 9%, although this is the first increase that we've had in Jersey City water in about 15 years. And then if there are any other further rate increases, we'll be treated like all the other bulk water customers that Jersey City supplies water to. That concludes my report. I do have a matter for closed session tonight, as indicated on the agenda concerning the Carriffy litigations.
Thank you, Mr. Lott. Moving on to Business Administrator Fred Carr.
Thank you, Khalid. So, following up with Ms. Peterson's question with regards to the COVID, so we're still working here in Town Hall with Town Hall employees, appointments only, staggered staff throughout the township, except for obviously tomorrow. segueing into my next point, the snowstorm on the way up. So many of those non-essential personnel who we've sent home and are paying to sit home and be safe are being called in for the snowstorm, but we're still going to, manage those COVID protocols. We're ready. We've been preparing all week, and town hall will be open on Thursday again, just like normal. Appointments only. A little snow on the ground is not going to slow us up. We'll just have to dress different. And other than that, I have nothing else. I'm going to let Stanberry do most of the talking.
All right, thank you, Fred. Moving along, Township Clerk, I just want to wish everybody a happy, healthy, and safe holiday season. I assume we don't have anything from the township offices or committees. And we don't have anything for correspondence. So moving along to bids. Taken November 18th, 2020, no recreation sanitary sewer improvements to be taken. December 17th, 2020, yard waste transportation disposal recycling. And quotations, proposals, or qualifications. December 16th, 2020, affordable housing administrative agent. Moving along to the public hearing, I'd like to entertain a motion to open up the public hearing, please.
Motion.
Second.
Before you do that, the Affordable Housing Administrative Agent, could we get some write-up of exactly what we expect that agency to do? I just wonder how that bid was put out there.
I can answer that question, Councilman. So we have an affordable housing component required. We talked about it of a mandate. Frankly, at the end of the day, we don't want to get into the determination of who should go into the affordable housing or not. That should be by somebody.
I know what it's for. I want to know what we're mandating from that authority.
We can send you, well, we haven't chosen them yet, but I can send you the bid specs and you can look at them. So these were prepared by Leslie. Yeah, so Leslie, our COA consultant or assistant, prepared boilerplate. We took what was from another municipality, went out for bid, and I will send that to the council.
Fred, how many pages is that before you send it out?
Oh, about 900. No, not that many at all. It's not that in depth. No.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, for the public hearing, we had a motion by Mr. Carriffy, a second by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Okay, that's going to open up the public hearing. I'm going to go ahead and look at the attendees. I will see if anybody has their hand raised. You guys will have 5 minutes to speak on any topic you wish. Please understand this is not a back and forth between the council or the administration. You will speak for your 5 minutes, and then the administration or council will then address your questions and or concerns. With that being said, let me look at the attendees to see if anyone has raised their hand. Okay, I have so far a Nick Homiak, so let's go ahead and unmute Nick. Nick, you there? Nick?
He is unmuted.
Yeah, there you go, Nick. How you doing?
All right.
All right, Nick, 5 minutes.
The Knoll committee, is that open to anybody? Can anybody show up and speak?
Are you referring to it being open for appointments or just going in to speak to the committee?
To speak to the committee.
Okay, I'll turn that over to the council president.
And, okay.
But after you're done, though, whatever other questions you have.
Yeah, what else was I gonna say here? I don't think I quite understood what I just heard from Mr. Lott. We're going to be buying more water from Jersey City now? I think that's what I heard. And what is it here? What is going on with the merger of the Public Works and the Parks Department? Is that another attempt? I think I asked this before, but I don't remember the answer. Is this an attempt to reduce the workforce more, some kind of austerity member, or is it that we don't have any forests to work in? So how is that going to work out for everybody or make the workforce more efficient overall? And what else can I say here? Blah, blah, blah. I'd like to also find out, we need, of course, we need more street cleaning. We still have the big litter problem. We have the green team now, but I think that is not going to be as big as hit as we would like it to be. And what can we do about upgrading our outdated sewerage storm drains with those wide mouths? Now, you can imagine with the 24 inches of snow, maybe 12, 18 inches of snow, rain events, we have to stop living in a vacuum. We need more street cleaning, and we need to update the storm drains. Just imagine all of that plastic that's heading for the storm drain and for Troy Meadows, which we're supposed to take care of here in our master plan. So I guess that's it. And I would really like to attend a Knoll Golf committee meeting. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Nick.
I can respond to that one. Kevin Brancato is the general manager of the Knoll, is our ex officio chairman of the committee. So I will notify him and ask him when he calls his next meeting that you also be invited.
All right, and I hope you got my email about some of the issues about the river friendly, and they're allegedly following some of the rules now, but in my opinion, I don't see any evidence of that. So I'd like to just have a conversation about that.
Council President, I'll take the question with respect to Jersey City Water.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
So under our existing agreement, the township has the right, but not the obligation, to purchase up to 100 million gallons. We've increased that with the new agreement. It's a right to purchase up to 150 million gallons a year. We were in prior years, we were actually exceeding the gallons that was provided for in the contract. So it was increased to 150 million gallons this year. That doesn't mean we necessarily have to purchase all of it, but it's available to us. There was also some consideration given to the fact that we're currently have a number of well rehabilitation programs going on. And we wanted to make sure that we had sufficient water during that time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's see if there are any other participants. Anyone else that would like to raise their hand? I don't see anyone else's hand up from the attendees. So I will give you guys another 30 seconds or so to raise your hand. Okay. I see Bob and Pat Venezia. Can you please unmute?
Unmute. Here's mute.
Yeah, Ms. Venezia, we hear you.
Okay. Great. Hi, my name is Pat Venezia. I live at 102 Brooklawn Drive. And I watched Danbury's presentation last month to the council asking for revisions to the original agreement. And I have some questions. One, which I would like to hear answers to tonight. One, Danbury's revised plan calls for 57 additional units for a total of 498 units versus the 441 in the original plan? What is the breakdown for the 57 additional units? That is, how many are studio, how many 1, 2, or 3 bedroom units? And does the number of bedrooms remain the same for the 441 units from the original plan? 2, the presentation mentioned a jug handle tie-in that's being delayed to after phase 1. What is it? And what is the impact on existing traffic and new tenants until it's completed? What is in this revised plan to ensure Stanbury actually does the tie-in since it's after phase 1? 3, besides the jug handle tie-in, are there any other changes to the completion dates of roads or other infrastructure improvements in the revised plan? If so, what are they? 4, is there anything in this revised ordinance that compels Stanbury to do phase 2? If so, what is it? 5, under the revised ordinance, if Stanbury decides to sell the development after phase 1, is the new owner compelled to complete phase 2 following all the provisions Stanbury agreed to? And is there a financial penalty that Stanbury has to pay Parsippany for selling before they complete their promised development? 6, after phase 1 and phase 2 are completed, what annual tax revenue does Parsippany estimate we would receive under the original agreement versus this revised plan? And how much of this estimated annual revenue for the revised plan is dedicated to paying the principal and interest on the redevelopment area bond? 7, how much tax revenue does Parsippany receive for the property as it is today? 8, the Morristown Record reported on Sunday that Stanbury requested a meeting with Parsippany officials before tonight's meeting. Did you have the meeting? Who attended? What was discussed? And was anything decided? And 9, what guarantee do we have that Stanbury won't come back to Parsippany again asking for more concessions? Thank you. And I sent the questions to Khalid to facilitate getting answers to all my questions.
Council
Yes,
President?
Ms. Venezia, your questions were sent. Go ahead, Mr. Lott.
This is a comment for Council President. I would suggest that all of those questions be answered during the public hearing with respect to both ordinances. We do have a presentation from Stanbury during the public hearing, as well as our own township professionals available to answer all those questions.
I would prefer that you answer them now so that I can react to the answers. You've already not given the answers to these questions in the November presentation.
Well, I don't think that that's accurate. That's up to the Council President as to the format of the meeting. I just think that it would probably be more informative if you allowed Stanbury to make their presentation and allow our township professionals to answer those questions.
All right, will I get a chance to follow up if there are any of my questions that are not answered?
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. Council President, is that just to ask Council President, would you prefer that we wait until we have the public hearing where Stanbury is going to do their presentation? At that point, they will go ahead and answer the questions, or would you want them to answer it now? I'm leaving that to you, Council President. It's your format.
It makes more sense to let them make their presentation. They may answer most of those questions during the presentation.
Okay, fantastic.
If any are left unanswered, then we can address them at that time.
Sounds good. All right, so moving along.
Can I just ask one question? Ms. Venezia mentioned that she sent the questions in advance. Were those questions passed along to Stanbury so that they were prepared to answer them?
To my understanding, yes. Is that correct, Mr. Lott?
Yes, that's correct. I passed those questions along to Stanbury earlier this afternoon.
Okay. We also now, Ms. Venezia had spoken. Bob, I understand you also have some comments, so you also have a right to speak. So are you there, Bob?
Yes, I am. Can you?
Your 5 minutes will begin now.
Okay, it's Bob Venezia, 102 Brooklawn Drive. At the November 10th council meeting, representatives from the project at 1515 Route 10 declared that their existing redevelopment plan was no longer financeable because of the effects of COVID-19 on the retail and office segments of the economy. Stanbury then made a presentation outlining amendments to the redevelopment plan and unspecified changes at the time to the financial agreement that would restore profit margins to a level that they deemed acceptable. Tonight, the council will be asked to approve an amended redevelopment plan for the 1515 project in Ordinance 2020-30:34, and then asked to authorize the execution of an amended financial agreement in Ordinance 2020:35. In the best interest of the Township of Parsippany and its taxpayers, both of these ordinances should be rejected. There is no denying that the current project plans would not succeed in today's COVID environment. But the COVID situation is changing rapidly. As we speak, first vaccinations are being administered in Great Britain and in the United States. And I'm sure you've heard our president-elect promise that 100 million vaccinations will be administered to the American people in the first 100 days that he's in office. So it seems pretty clear that any redevelopment plan changes in these ordinances based on today's COVID environment would shortly become obsolete. The best decision for both Parsippany and the developer is to postpone any premature amendments to the 1515 project plan and reevaluate when post-COVID conditions have stabilized. That, of course, means that the council must reject the amendments contained in the two ordinances tonight. At one time or another, the mayor, the business administrator, and at least 4 council members have stated on the record that they are unhappy with the terms of the existing payment in lieu of taxes or pilot agreement, but were forced to accept it because of the courts. Tonight, you're being asked to make an admittedly bad agreement even worse by allowing Stanbury to build 57 more apartments while paying substantially less in taxes. As you weigh the merits of the proposed amendments to the redevelopment plan, I would like to remind you just how generous the terms of the existing pilot agreement are to Stanbury and how unfavorable the terms are to Parsippany. Under the terms of the existing pilot, an apartment unit in the Stanbury complex is taxed at an average rate of about $2,000 per apartment. By way of comparison, the average tax of each apartment in the Modera complex is almost $6,200, or 3 times as much as the Stanbury units. Furthermore, under the pilot, Stanbury contributes $0 in support of the fire district that services the 1515 Route 10 property, which means that all your other constituents must pay the taxes necessary to provide fire protection to this $200 million development. For Stanbury to come before this governing body and ask to amend the existing overly generous pilot agreement with even more terms that are unfavorable to the township is just plain corporate greed. For the above reasons, and
You got 1 minute, Bob.
For the above reasons, and in the best interest of the residents of Parsippany, the council should reject both Stanbury ordinances. Thank you.
Mr. Council President and Clerk, may I respond? Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Venezia, you stated that at times certain council members and myself have disagreed and voiced our opposition to a pilot. That is correct, but not the entire truth of that. You're omitting some of it. When I came on board, the pilot was only at 6%. That was something that was set by the previous administration that I had nothing to do with. nor did the way this council looks like right now had voted on it that way. However, through negotiations with Stanberry, we were able to get that pilot from 6% to 12%, as well as other concessions and other things as well. Okay. Now, it wasn't the best deal that I saw at 6%, but we worked very hard to make it better. And I applaud the council members at the time that voted for the 12%, a 6% increase, okay, to the pilot. So that way the town could get its more fair share. And so we could actually help the Board of Education pay for the offset of any children going in. So make sure you give the whole truth with that. Okay. And I thank you for your comments to both you and your wife. And I wish you both a happy holiday.
All right, moving along. Let's see.
One more, if I may, one more aside to that. The units in that complex that are a part of the affordable housing commitment that the township has, if we were to vote this down and Stanberry backs away from the entire thing because it's no longer fundable, then we're going to have to find someplace else to build those 440 apartments with the affordable housing attached to them. If you got any suggestions, Bob, let me know where else we could build 440 apartments to still meet our commitment to the courts. Got any room in your backyard?
No, but I don't know that you're going to have to build 440 apartments. I think that I think that everything is on hold during this COVID, including affordable housing.
No, you're wrong.
The council president's correct. There's been no suspension of affordable housing obligations during the COVID emergency.
Taled, you're on mute.
Thank you, Emily. Bob, you'll have another opportunity to speak at the public hearing. So we're moving along. At this time, I see Tim Berrios, and his hand is up. Can you please go ahead and unmute Tim, please?
Oh,
We can hear you.
excellent. Tim Berrios, 24 Farmstead Drive, Parsippany. Just for public notice, I am a Board of Education member, just re-elected to another 3-year term.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to follow up on Mr. Benenzia. I am also going to follow up on myself that the Stanberry addendum should be voted down. You know, we still have not, back in November or December, have neither myself, who's part of financial committee, the superintendent of schools, I am the chairman of critical issues. We have not heard from the administration, the council, or anybody else from the town about the impact to the school system. The bottom line is that 57 units seems ho-hum, but it's not ho-hum. And we need to think about the impact to the school system as it stands today. And what I mean by that is that our schools that are aligned within that area will be directly impacted and will be caused to be redistricted within this district of Parsippany school system. I have mentioned it to everybody who will listen, and unfortunately, doesn't seem like it's gaining a lot of traction. But the same taxpayers who are going to have to pay for this COA are also going to have to pay for this school system redistricting, where else has got to be done. So my recommendation is that everybody needs to take a step back, and we do not okay this, and understand to the public, and I'm giving you my word of honor, that nobody, absolutely nobody, has talked to the school district about these improvements to the town. whether it's Stanbury, whether it's Landex Plaza, or anything. So the bottom line is, President DePiro, you asked a very good question. Where do you want them put? Well, I got a pretty big backyard. You want to put in my backyard? No problem. But in the meantime, you have to consider, where do you put the additional children that will be for this district, and what schools are they going to? Because if I got to ship people or children from Eastlake, from Par High, from Brooklawn to Central Middle or Parsippany High School, how are you going to explain to those parents? That's what I want to know. And Mr. Mayor, I have to be honest and fair. You have not reached out, either you or one of your lieutenants, to our superintendent of schools, have talked to her about anything. And I got that information as late as yesterday. So please do not disillusion the public that says that all this has been worked out, because it hasn't. Nor has it been with the board president. Thank you.
Tim,
Barrios, thank you for identifying yourself as a member of the Board of Education. I will take your comments as the official policy of the Board of Ed. Thank you very much.
okay, moving along. Do we have any other participants? I'm taking a look now, so I'll give you about 30 seconds if anyone else wants to raise their hand to speak during the public hearing. Okay. Seeing no one else, I'd like to entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second, Grignani.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiro?
Yes.
Public hearing is closed. Moving along to ordinances. Introduction, there are none. Going on to second reading and public hearing. Ordinance 2020:32, amending and supplementing Chapter 4, Administration of Government, to transfer the Division of Parks and Forestry to the Department of Public Works and establish the Department of Recreational Services. And ordinance number 2020:33, authorizing the township to convey property via quitclaim or bargain and sale deed. The notices for the ordinances above were published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills, on December 3rd, 2020. The ordinances were introduced at the November 24th, 2020 regular meeting. I'd like to have a motion to accept ordinances 2020:32 and 2020:33 be heard in their second and final reading by title only. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiro?
Yes.
Okay, moving along to the public hearing on ordinances number 2020:32 and 2020:33. Can I get a motion to open up a public hearing for ordinances number 2020:32 and 2020:33?
Make a motion.
Motion. Second.
Made by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call. Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiro?
Yes.
Okay, now the public hearing has been open on ordinance number 2020:32 and 2020:33. I will now look to see if there are any members of the public who would like to raise their hand and speak on those ordinances only. Yeah, I see Nick Holmiak, his hand is up. I don't know if you want to comment on these ordinances or your hand was up previously, so we'll go ahead and unmute Nick for a second, please. Nick, you there? Okay, it looks like his hand was just up from the previous one. So seeing no one, let's go ahead and I'd like to take a motion to close the public hearing, please.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy. Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
yes,
Okay, whereas the above ordinances were read in title on second reading and a hearing held thereon, now therefore be it resolved that said ordinances be passed on final reading and that notices of final passage of said ordinances be published in the newspaper according to law. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Bud,
Yes.
separate votes on both ordinances.
Well, that's not 2020-34 and 2020-35.
No, I understand that, but we should take a separate vote on both of the ordinances.
Okay. So, for ordinance number 2020-32, Mr. Carriffy,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
and Mr. DePiero?
yes,
Okay, that passes. Ordinance 2020:33. Mr. Carriffy,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
yes,
Okay.
Grignani.
Oh, Ms.
Grignani,
Grignani.
yes.
Grignani, that passes. All right, moving along to ordinances 2020-34 and 2020-35. Ordinance 2020-34, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township Parsippany Troy Hills, Morris County, amending the redevelopment plan for Block 200, Lot 1.2 and Lot 1.03, and referring said amendment to the Planning Board for review and comment in accordance with the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 40A:12A-1 et sec. And ordinance 2020-35, ordinance of the Township Parsippany Troy Hills in the County of Morris, authorizing the execution of amended financial agreements with the district at 1515 Urban Renewal, LLC, and the district at 1515 Urban Renewal 2, LLC, granting a tax exemption with respect to that certain property identified as Block 200, Lot 1.2, and Lot 1.03, in accordance with the long-term tax exemption law, NJSA 48:20-1 et sec, and redevelopment. The notices for the ordinances above were published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township Parsippany Troy Hills, on December 3rd, 2020. The ordinances were introduced at the November 24th, 2020 regular meeting. Can I get a motion to accept the ordinances 2020:34 and 2020-35 be heard in their second and final readings by title only?
Clerk, I have one technical amendment to offer to ordinance number 2020-4. It's a correction to the redevelopment plan. I'm going to read what the change is. On page 23, section 5.12.6, replace the following sentence with the total number of units shall consist of a maximum of 441 non-age restricted units and 57 age restricted units shall be defined as noted in the township regulations at chapter 430-410. The correction will be, and the replacement is, the total number of units shall consist of a maximum of 449 non-age restricted units and 49 age restricted units, as noted in the township regulation at chapter 430-410. In my opinion, it's a non-substantive amendment, does not require renotice.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lott. So could I please have a motion to accept ordinances 2020:34 and 2020:35 be heard in their second and final readings?
Motion.
As amended, clerk.
Second.
As amended. Motion by Ms. Peterson, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carriffy. Okay, roll call, Mr. Carriffy,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
yes.
Okay, before we go into the public hearing, at this time, we'll have the presentation by Stanberry.
Actually, clerk, the hearing will include a presentation by Stanberry. I'll note that copies of the draft redeveloper agreement, as well as the financial agreements, as referenced in both ordinances 34 and 35, have been on file in the clerk's office We can now hear the presentation from Stanberry, as well as it will be supplemented by the comments by township professionals.
Okay, well, before they go do their presentation, then let's just open up the public hearing, have them present, and then we'll have comments from the public, and then they can respond.
Correct.
All right, so public hearing 2020-34 and 2020-35. Motion to open up the public hearing. Ordinances number 2020-34 and 2020-35.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Okay, Stanberry, it's all you.
Thank you, Clint. Thank you, council. How do I go about sharing my screen? Clint?
I'll turn that over to the IT. I don't know how to.
Oh, I'm now the presenter.
I just made him a presenter.
All right, there you go.
Oh, here we go. Share. How's that?
There you go.
Everybody see? All right. Well, thank you again. And I'd just like to point out for everybody that there's numerous members from our team on the panel tonight. So I'm going to make a presentation, but certainly there's other members of the team available if there's questions as we move forward. So once again, our partner here is Claremont Development. They're on the panel as well. And just to refresh everybody's memory, I'm sure at this point everybody knows the project, where we're at. But this is a picture of the existing buildings. I pulled this actually from a Wall Street Journal article back in 2018. Moving on to an aerial to kind of orient everybody. This is the 1515 project site, and post annexation, this portion down here is in Hanover. This portion is the Parsippany portion. To our north, we have State Route 10, New Jersey DOT right-of-way, the Mack Cali campus over here. To our east, we have the Drydenway jug handle, and this is also NJDOT right-of-way. And I will take a moment now to explain a little bit about our improvements. What we are looking at doing is making a connection right here, which I will share the details in a little bit, but the connection is right here. And what that does to alleviate some of the traffic on this Route 202 intersection is it makes a direct connection. Let me move this out of my way for a second. So all traffic coming from the east traveling west from 287 in this direction to get to these properties currently has to travel through the Mack Cali campus down to this jug handle and back to get here, or they come down Route 10, take this jug handle and this jug handle and come back to get to these properties. What these traffic improvements will do will permit that same traffic to now take the Drydenway jug handle here, come under Route 10 and access these properties, avoiding the 202 intersection. That traffic movement will help alleviate some of the congestion, totally, not all of it, of course, but alleviate some of the traffic on there by removing the traffic I just discussed for these parcels. So to our also, this is the Marriott Hotel just past the jug handle, also to the east. To the south, once again, this is Hanover Township property here. This property all through here is owned by Southeast Morris County Municipal Utility Authority. And I will give you an update on them later, but I will tell you actually now that we're working with them to complete a water loop. Currently, these three properties are served by Samuka and through a dead-end water main that comes down right here. what we're going to be doing is connecting that water main up here and across the top through Delta Dental's property, at which point the Octagon building owner will take that and connect it over to complete the loop. So that is in the works. We are also working with Delta Dental and the Octagon building to link together pedestrian connectivity through these properties so that there's safe passage from one to the other. We will have more details of that when we get into our site plan application. So,
Mr. Parchment, can I just interrupt you for 1 second? I just want to make sure that the questions that were posed by Mr. and Mrs. Venezia, can we itemize them as you touch on them? So you were talking about the jug handle. One of their questions is, what is the jug handle tie-in? And that's what you just described, right? That's going to be the access point from that south east corner, right, direct into 1515.
Right.
Correct.
And I got the questions. Thank you for Jim for forwarding those to us. I'm happy to address some of them now or address them all when I get done. I also believe that Mike Hamley, your financial analyst, is also going to be addressing some of the questions.
That's correct.
And also on the water point, by tying this into its Samua, correct? We're not putting pressure on Parsippany's water.
That's correct. And I'll give you an update on where we stand with that as well.
Thank you.
So if it's okay, Councilman Peterson, I'd like to address the Venezia's questions at the end of the presentation.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to. I know you have a plan. I apologize.
No worries. So back in January of this year, we submitted a fully engineered site plan application for this plan. And all the blue you see here is retail and restaurant uses. So there's not one building in this plan that does not incorporate retail and restaurant uses. Additionally, on the upper levels, this area right here was our office component, which is fronting the Route 10 right away. But once again, this was the office component in conjunction with the retail that was shown here. So we submitted that fully engineered, as I said. I believe our application was close to being deemed complete before COVID hit. And with COVID, it obviously a global disruption. So it severely impacted the office and retail markets. From a global standpoint, it was everybody's working from home now. Obviously, everybody at this meeting is calling in from home. That is playing out globally. There's been a permanent doubling of the work from home office population, and everybody is looking to reduce their office footprint. Locally, Parsippany's market vacancy is roughly 30%, and the sublet space available has increased 50% since the start of 2020. All this results in negative growth and uncertainty in the future demand for office space locally and globally, for that matter. From a retail standpoint, certainly social gathering limitations and other consumer behavior has really put a hit on the retail and the restaurants. Vacancies has fueled bankruptcies, resulting in store closures, resulting in foreclosures. And certainly there's the future is uncertain for restaurants and retailers. Locally, you've had permanent closures of Zinburger, 24 Hour Fitness, GNC, Soft Surrounding, Ann Taylor, Joseph A. Bank, and J. Joe have filed for bankruptcy. All this leads to negative rent growth and uncertainty in the future demand. Specific to our project in 1515, all the tenants that had committed to us have decommitted. We've had secured letters of intent, approved letters of intent for roughly half of our phase one retail space. I can't tell you how important that is from a financing standpoint to have those commitments in place going in for financing for construction. We're also negotiating letters of intent with many other retailers and restaurants and service providers who have all are not doing business right now. So given these unknowns, speculative office and retail is just not something that is financeable. And it caused us to really pivot on this project. So we went back to the drawing board with the goal is to maintain the mixed use project that we've envisioned, maintain our affordable housing obligations that we made to Parsippany, maintain the much needed traffic improvements, and more importantly, be able to start construction in 2021. So with that has yielded after many months and many iterations of plans and meetings with architects and engineers and town professionals to kind of get to where we are tonight. The approved plan, once again, back in January, we had fully engineered 441 residential units. 15% of those were affordable, 67 units total, 34 on site, 100,000 square feet of retail, and 40,000 square feet of office. Tonight's requested modification, we have reduced the retail to 60,000 square feet. We have eliminated the office component, and we've replaced those two with additional age-restricted apartment units for a total of 498 residential units. The new affordable units, we've increased those to 75. 42 of those are on site. And we're seeking no bulk requirement changes. So what does that look like? The important component is right here. This is our new phase one. 263 units, residential units, slab on grade, that we're able to come out of the ground starting summer of 2021. By doing phase one and full 100% residential, it gives us time, it gives the market time to heal, it gives the retailers time to get back in the game. And we think after a couple of years, 2-3 years, as Mr. Vincenzio had mentioned, the retail will be back. And we're now showing 60,000 square feet of retail in this configuration. We still have the shared public outdoor space, which is now a Main Street configuration. We have the ability to shut down vehicular traffic at this area and this area to make this 100% pedestrian traffic. And we will be doing that. We hope to be doing that on weekends and during special events, including events we're partnering with the town on for anything from food truck festivals to high school music concerts and the like. The additional age-restricted units are right now shown right here over the retail on Route 10. So this is the retail. This is the age-restricted in purple. These back here are market rate units in the tan color, and this is our parking deck right here. What we continue to work with our architects and engineers, and we're looking for a way to see if it's possible to relocate these age-restricted units back here into the B building so that we can keep this as a one-story retail. Right now, it's shown here as a three-story, one-story retail with 2 stories of residential, age-restricted residential above. Graphically, this is what it looks like. This shows our phase one residential unit here, the 263 units, this being the phase two. So the blue is the retail. The purple area here is the age restricted, and the brownish tan is the affordables and the market rate units. You see also this is a elevated pedestrian bridge that links our phase 1 residential to the future parking deck over here. We're hopeful that we can take this wing and turn that into the age-restricted units and fit all of the market rate units and affordable units over in this area. If so, graphically, the architectural hierarchy will be able to step back as our original plan had always shown. So this being 1 story, this 4, and this is 4 over 1 story retail. So that is what we are currently working on. If we're successful in that, we will make that change as we go through the site plan application. These changes I'm referring to, they have been considered and are permit us to do so in our redevelopment plan. We will continue to work with your town planners in perfecting that. So real quick, with regards to Njdot, this is the specific connector I'm referring to, everybody's referring to, that will permit traffic to, once again, take this jug handle exit here, come under Route 10 here, and go directly to the site. We will be improving this connection and this connection in conjunction with this work. So this shows the existing buildings, obviously, which will be demolished. As far as an update with Njdot, to date, we've spent $500,000 with Langen Engineering on the engineering for this improvement. Just recently, December 2nd, 2020, what is that, almost 2 weeks ago, we received our second round of comments from Njdot. It was supposed to be 3 months, it was 6 months. And we are hopeful that we will be in a position to have our Njdot plans approved in 2020. It's certainly not a guarantee. The responses we're getting from DOT right now is very sporadic and not a cohesive response. We are fortunate, we think, to be this far along in the process, but we still have several more resubmissions at this point to go. So with regards to Southeast Morris County MUA, we do have our water main extension permit approved from DEP. The applicant, you see down here, the Southeast Morris County MUA, and this is our project right here. So from a potable water supply, we are good to go. And I don't have quite as good of an update with the sanitary sewer, but we just received comments today, actually, from Mike Wynn at Hanover Sewer Authority. We've got a force main that's running down the Route 10 right away down to Ridgedale for the connection, and we got comments back from Mike today. Ultimately, we're going to get those comments incorporated, submitted to Njdot, but it's important to point out that our sanitary sewer is from Hanover, not Parsippany. Our water is from Southeast Morris County, not Parsippany. So with regards to project schedule, let's see if I can blow this up a little bit. This red here is where we are tonight. So that's tonight's council meeting, and these are the actions that you have before you for your consideration. With regards to schedule, with a affirmative vote tonight, we're looking at submitting, where is it? Middle of February, submit our site plan application. So we plan to get to work right away on those, re-engineering the plans for our site plan application. We're looking at a site plan application approval by summer of 2021, at which point we will commence demolition and site work, which would give us a summer 2023 1515 phase 1 grand opening. So that's kind of where we are phase-wise. That's a relatively quick summary of all the work we've been doing over the past 8 or 9 months to get to where we are today. I know Mike Hanley is going to give a presentation as well. I'm happy to address the questions from Mr. and Mrs. Vincentia now, or if we want to wait till after Mike Hanley's done.
Why don't we wait until after Mike Hanley's done, and then we can address everything all at once.
Okay. Well, that concludes my application or my presentation. If there's any questions, so I'm happy to answer them now or when Mike gets done.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. You're up.
Okay. How do I get the share content?
IT will make you a presenter, and then you could.
Okay, yep, I've got it. So I'm gonna skip through some of the things because they've already been covered. And I think you can see the screen right now. Is that right? Can you all see the screen that I'm showing?
No, we cannot.
We see you.
Oh, shit. All right, let's try again.
There you go.
Can you see it now?
All right, there it is.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna skip to this side to start. The main changes from our perspective as the municipality in this is that a significant amount of the revenue is being shifted from phase 1 to phase 2 because a significant amount of the square footage is being shifted in the same way. So you can see phase 1 has a significant reduction in revenue, and phase 2 has a meaningful increase in revenue. And the total difference is the project will produce about 93% of the revenue that it would have produced, but a lot of it is shifted from phase 1 to phase 2. Now that hurts the redeveloper more than it hurts the municipality, insofar as they are putting up a lot of dollars and have put up a lot of dollars as it relates to land acquisition, and they have to build a lot of infrastructure in the beginning of the project. The residential portion is now more of the project. It's about a 30% reduction in retail. And I don't think I have to explain to anyone here that the retail marketplace has been harmed by the situation we're in. Everyone's got a newspaper and knows where we are, the situation that we are dealing with. So to put that into dollars, the phase 1, because of the meaningful drop in revenue, will considerably decrease the amount of revenue to the municipality and significantly decrease the amount of revenue to the developer. You can also see the existing taxes on this sheet. That was one of the questions that was asked in the written questions to the council. Currently, we're receiving about $438,000 in taxes. About $96,000 of that comes to the municipality itself. The balance goes to other entities. The important thing to remember here is that only $7 million and $200,000 of the taxes are land taxes. The improvement, there's no reason for it to continue to exist. So the balance of those taxes, as soon as the building is demolished, will no longer to exist. The additional taxes that will come in, if you look through the revised project section on the right-hand side of the screen, that $435,000 in additional revenue is revenue that will help the budget and is not being collected today in phase one. And eventually, if and when phase two is developed, we will get an additional $500,000. All of that will be revenue that is not currently in the budget, that reduces revenue that has to be raised from other entities in the municipality, from the existing taxpayer. I think some of the other questions that were asked and need to be answered are whether we can guarantee that phase two must be developed by the developer, or there's any way for us to guarantee that it occurs. And the answer to that is no. The marketplace will determine what can and can't be built. Now, right now, I have a lot of confidence, and we have a lot of confidence, that the phase one can be built. It's a residential phase, and that marketplace is succeeding as we stand here today. But 2 years down the road, whether we can complete this project or whether the developer can complete this project cannot be guaranteed by anyone. But if it doesn't occur, then the balance of the responsibilities associated with the project never happen for the municipality. So we all hope it's completed, but, a year ago, none of us would have been able to tell you what's happening today. And so never in any project can a municipality or a developer create those type of guarantees, and we have to move forward with the best information we have at the time.
Mike, this is Janice.
Yeah.
So what happens
Sure.
to the affordable housing on phase two? It doesn't get completed.
So phase two doesn't get completed, then the affordable housing doesn't get completed.
So we have no guarantee then on affordable housing that's being proposed here, right?
Well, you have a guarantee on the affordable housing that will be built as a part of phase one, and you have a guarantee as it relates to the cash payment associated with phase one. But no one can build phase two, and no one can promise to build it. The marketplace will determine that, as it does today.
So we're getting half of the units on phase one for affordable housing, and we're not sure about the affordable housing on phase two.
Of course.
Okay. Thanks.
No problem.
And Mike, Paul Caruthi here. I have I don't know if it would be a question for you or the other gentleman. The roundabout, that road work, that would be completed with phase one, correct? That would be done with the first phase?
And then the roundabout, the timing of the roundabout may or may not be, it's likely not to be completed when phase one is completed. But the limitations, phase two cannot be built without the roundabout being taken care of. And that's a timing issue. It's out of the control of the developer. It's out of control of the town. It's controlled at transit or at DOT. And so we want the project to move forward, because having, a closed office building doesn't do the municipality any good.
Right.
So we're not waiting for that to be completed or even started before phase one gets started. But phase two, which is crucial to the developer because of the amount of money they've invested in the land, the amount of upfront dollars that they have expended, and the amount of money they've spent on the roundabout related to planning, they can't build phase two without completing that. So the entity that is harmed most greatly by phase two not being completed is the redeveloper. So they have the highest incentive for that to occur.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, if there are no other questions from council at this time, thank you, Mike, for your presentation. What we'll do now, we'll go back to Mark. Mark, if you want to go ahead and address Mr. and Mrs. Venezia's questions before we go into the public hearing.
Clerk?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I just want to follow up on that Mr. Hanley made in response to a question that Councilmember Parisi had with respect to the jug handle improvements. I think, ideally, the developer in the township would like to see approval and construction of the jug handle to coincide with the opening of phase one. I think there's been a recognition that the way that DOT approves projects tends to be slow, and that we may experience some additional slippage at DOT. To account for that, and whether it was the original project or the modified project, the agreements provide for a financial surety for the benefit of the township. I'm currently talking to Mr. Perlman about what form that surety is going to take. It's probably a bond. It may also include a portion of the RAB financing also be available to the township should the Stanberry not complete the jug handle improvements. It would give the township the ability to use that money in order to complete the construction. As Mr. Hanley indicates, it's obviously in the developer's best interest here to go ahead and complete the jug handle improvements because they can't move forward with the second phase of the project. It's probably also worth noting, while I'm not a traffic engineer, that the traffic impacts with respect to phase one are probably not significantly different than when the office building operated on the site. I know the site's been vacant for a number of years, but it's a 400,000 square foot plus or minus office building. And I think the traffic impacts associated with the phase one portion residential project are probably comparable, if not less than what would have been experienced had the office building continued to operate. That office building operated for years without any access to Dryden Way.
Jim, is that a performance bond? Is that what you're talking about? There's a performance bond that's going to be provided? Yeah,
it'll probably be in the nature of a performance bond, somewhere between 120 and 150% of the cost of the construction of the improvement. It may also include the ability to use the proceeds from the RAB bond as additional surety, or perhaps as a supplemental surety as well. NJDOT will require the developer, pursuant to the approval, to also have a bond posted. So we're going to have to work with NJDOT to see if the township can ride along on that bond also. There's really no sense in having the developer over bond the project. If surety is given to the state and to the township, I think that will adequately protect the township's interest to make sure that the improvement is actually constructed. We're still hopeful, as I indicated before, that we can get where the developer can get through the DOT process and they can start construction, so they can align the opening of phase one with the construction of the jug handle improvement.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lott. At this time, we'll go back to Mark so we can address the questions that were placed on the record previously, and then we'll move into the public hearing to allow the public to speak. Mark, you there?
Steve,
Mark,
Sorry.
you're on mute.
I thought you guys had to unmute me. My bad. Anyway, I think if I've got the questions posed by Mr. and Mrs. Venenzia, and if I answer some of those related to traffic, I think that'll help everybody out here. So going, I think it was our second question. What is the jug handle tie-in that's being delayed to after phase one? It is what I explained before. It's what it's always been, the driveway jug handle connector. What is the impact on existing traffic and new tenants until it's completed? The traffic pattern will be the same as it is today. Traffic to 1515 Delta Deno and Octagon will be traveling westbound on Route 10. They need to make their way through the Route 202 intersection and head back east, as I indicated earlier. However, and Jim was alluding to this, the new phase one traffic will be greatly reduced from the previous phase one traffic. So previously, the phase one traffic was 260, or the current proposed one is 263 residential units versus the old phase one, which was 271 units plus or minus and 60,000 square feet of retail. That phase one timed up with the existing traffic flow generated from our office buildings if they were full, to Jim's point. So the traffic volume we're proposing for phase one is certainly less than what would be anticipated if our buildings were filled with office tenants, and certainly less than the previous phase one. So next is the question is, what is the revised plan to ensure Stanberry does the tie-in, meaning the jug handle connector? We are incentivized a number of ways to complete the Njdot work. Number one, as been alluded to, we cannot pull building permits for phase two until we have completed the driveway jug handle connector. Additionally, we will be required to post a bond, as Jim indicated, in excess of the cost of improvements that can be drawn on by the town to complete the improvements if we don't perform per the agreement. And finally, as also has been alluded to, we have spent nearly $500,000 on engineering fees for this improvement. We've owned the land for going on 6 years. With all that additional carry costs, we don't want to see all that go to waste. We need to do phase two to really make this work financially for us. So besides the jug handle tie-in, are there any changes to the completion dates of road or infrastructure improvements to the revised plan? And I gotta say, we're not proposing any changes or delays with regards to the off-site improvements, including Njdot. The Southeast Morris County NUA water main loop and the sanitary pump station and force main are all being constructed in phase one. The driveway jug connector, as has been discussed, is still planned for construction after phase one, but before phase two opens. Let's see, what else do they have? Is there anything in the revised ordinance that compels Stanberry to do phase two? If so, what is it? The revised ordinance includes a redevelopment schedule, which includes phase two. If we do not start development on phase two per the schedule, then we are in default. As I mentioned, we purchased the property 6 years ago. We continue to incur carry costs through multiple administrations, a pandemic, and other delays. Financially, we simply can't amortize all that cost into phase one. We need phase two for this project to make any financial sense. And this is somewhat repeating, but additionally, we're required to build the traffic improvements prior to pulling building permits on phase two. A significant portion of the funding for the traffic improvements is in the phase two RAB bonds. That phase two RABs cannot be issued to fund the cost unless we do phase two. Let's see. Some of these Mike Hanley was going to address. I'm going to skip to one more, and that was the Morristown record reported on Sunday. 12:13, that Stanberry requested a meeting with Parsippany officials before tonight's meeting. Did you have the meeting? Who attended? What was discussed and what was decided? Well, that meeting took place last Friday, and that was with the court-appointed special master and the attorneys for the town, 1515 and Fair Share Housing. I personally did not attend the meeting, but I'm pretty sure what was discussed involved confidential settlement communications based on potential litigation. I can tell you the purpose of the meeting was for us to outline our justification for the changes to the project to the court master, which our attorney did. Steve, I don't know, or Jim, I don't know if you have any additional insights on that. But those are the questions that I was going to, I wanted to respond to address specifically Mr. and Mrs. Venenzia. And I believe Mike Hanley was going to address the other ones relative to the a lot of financial type questions.
I just want to follow up on Mr. Potschmidt's observations about the meeting that occurred with the special master. I was in attendance at that meeting, as well as Ms. London, the Township's Special Affordable Housing Council. As Mr. Potschmidt indicated, there was a general overview of the proposed changes given to the special master, as well as a timetable for action by the Township Council. Just want to go back to an observation, or maybe a response to the question that was raised about the risk of non-completion, as Mr. Potschmidt indicated and was alluded to by Mr. Hanley. It's obviously in the developer's financial interest to move forward with the project into phase 2. But notwithstanding that, I think that there needs to be a recognition that the risk of non-completion, whether it's a redeveloper agreement project or a conventional tax project, is the same. It's the same risk. Having the project done in 2 phases as a conventional project or as a redevelopment project doesn't enhance the risk either to the redeveloper or to the township. And I think that there are people probably on this call that would probably tell you it's probably more likely a reduction in risk if the project receives a tax abatement as opposed to a conventional tax treatment. As for the affordable issues, if phase two doesn't get built, the township would have satisfied its obligation by providing the zoning that would allow those units to be built. The township's not under any obligation to make sure that the actual construction achieved by the developer occurs, except that we have to work in good faith with the redeveloper to provide the opportunity for that construction to proceed. We have a fully approved and final order of judgment on our affordable land. We received that last week. The Stanberry project, as Council President DiPiero indicates, is a key component of that approved plan.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lott. We'll turn it over to Mike Hanley to answer the remaining financial questions.
Yeah, I think the only question we haven't discussed so far is about transfer. And in a project such as this that has a financial agreement and a redevelopment agreement, you have far more power over transfer than you would in any type of traditional development, right? We have the ability to approve transfers and not. We don't have financial penalties, but in a normal transaction, you would have no rights at all. So it's a big advantage, but it does not have a specific financial penalty with transfer, nor should it, because that would make it less likely to be financed. And we've already made a statement in the context of having a financial agreement that this project doesn't need more hurdles, it needs less hurdles in order to get completed.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Council President, excuse me, this is Ed Snikes. I just wanted to offer a few other points for consideration as well, in addition to what's been offered earlier. I just wanted to reiterate that the additional units that are being proposed, the additional 57 units, 49 of those will be age restricted. 8 of those will be additional affordable units, non-age restricted. And I just wanted to clarify that for the public because it's an important component of this plan is that we wanted to make sure that the age restricted units were in there to reduce the amount of impacts to the municipality, as well as we do need, though, to account for the affordable units. The 8 units will be part of the overall project and included in the project. It will include 1 3-bedroom unit as a requirement in the rules. So it does have to have a 3-bedroom unit, but the remainder will be 1 and 2-bedroom units. Mr. Potchman, I know you didn't touch on the amount of additional 1 and 2 units, but I believe that is the case, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to give specifics on the unit counts we're currently proposing. So for the total project, we're looking at a total of 67 studio units, 173 1-bedroom market rate units. These are all market rate units. 69 1-bedrooms with a den, and 98 2-bedroom units. With the age restricted units, we're looking at 20 1-bedroom units, 14 1-bedroom with den, and 15 2-bedrooms. Regarding the affordable units, it's a total of, and this is to be confirmed by Ed at some point, but a total of 8 1-bedroom apartments, 25 2-bedrooms, and a total of 9 3-bedrooms for a total of 498 units. So we're well within the prescribed unit mix within the redevelopment plan relative to the maximum number of bedrooms.
I just wanted to point that out for the public. And in fact, the other bulk criteria has not changed with the exception of the setbacks from the Delta Dental property. Those have been adjusted in this redevelopment plan, but the setbacks from Route 10 remain the same. The coverage factors remain the same, and the building heights remain the same as far as maximum building height and number of stories. And it's important to note that for purposes of the record and the public hearing. So thank you. That's all I had to offer.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing none, now we're going to go ahead and move on to the public. What we'll do is I'll go ahead and look at the public participants, see if there are any hands raised that would like to speak. And you guys have 5 minutes to speak only on ordinance number 2020-34 and 2020-35. I see here we have Bob and Pat Venezia, so let's go ahead and unmute.
Go ahead, you go first.
Okay, Bob Venezia, 102 Brooklawn Drive. First, I want to acknowledge that Mayor Soriano did make significant improvements to the pilot agreement that he inherited, but that does not change the fact that the end result is not a good deal for Parsippany. And to address Mr. DiPiero's concern, I am not saying that affordable housing should never be built on the 1515 site. I am saying that it's sure to make changes in response to COVID conditions that will probably not exist a year from now. I would also like to point out that Parsippany has until 2025 to fulfill its affordable housing obligations. Now to the final point I was going to make. Several of you said that you voted for the original redevelopment plan solely because of the dual threats of the builder's remedy and the possibility of 800 apartments being built on the 1515 property. In my opinion, these two threats do not exist for tonight's ordinances. Parsippany fulfilled its obligation to affordable housing when it approved the original redevelopment plan and financial agreement. At that time, and under the threat of litigation, Stanbury received every consideration that they asked for. Now, Stanbury wants to unilaterally amend both of these agreements. It seems highly unlikely, even in the state of New Jersey, that any court would force Parsippany to accept amendments to an established agreement simply because the developer claims a need for a specific rate of profit and refuses to accept risk of any type. Furthermore, Stanbury no longer has the leverage that it previously had. If Stanbury breaks the current agreement and forces Parsippany to build 800 apartments, Parsippany would be under no obligation to offer a pilot for the new project. The current pilot translates to tens of millions of dollars in extra profit when Stanbury sells this property. I sincerely doubt they would do anything to jeopardize it. Fear of litigation should not be a factor when you reject these two ordinances tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Does Ms. Pat Venezia want to say anything or no?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Go ahead.
You want me to talk now?
You sure can.
Okay, Mr. Bob? Okay. Thank you, first of all, for the answers to most of my questions. I really appreciate it. But I did notice that I did not hear Mr. Hanley or anyone else give me the answer to my question number 6, which is after phase 1 and phase 2 are completed, what annual tax revenue does Parsippany estimate that we would receive under the original agreement versus this revised plan? And how much of the estimated annual revenue for the revised plan is dedicated to paying the principal and interest on the redevelopment area bond?
Would you like me to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay, so the at stabilization, the total pilot revenue will be about 1.6 million. The REB debt service will be between $400,000 and $450,000, netting the municipality about $1 million. In the prior version of the project, we were expecting about $1.1 million. So there's like $150,000 reduction due to the reduced amount of square footage and differences in revenue between commercial and residential projects.
You saying it's less under the prior?
Yes, it's less than the prior. The
Which
marketplace, the marketplace has changed. I think all of us understand that COVID exists, and this project once had $100,000 of retail space, 100,000 square feet of retail space in it, and it no longer does.
I understood what you were saying. Which version of the project is the 1.6 million? Is that the new or the old version of the project?
The new project is about 1.6 million. The old project was about 1.8 million.
1.8?
Yes.
And the RAD service stays the same regardless of the two projects?
It's decreased some due to where interest rates currently are. But for round numbers on a projection, it's decreased because of the difference in what can be built and the number of square feet that can be built. And I don't think anybody, in this meeting doesn't understand what's going on in the world, right? The retail marketplace is not good, and we hope it's better at some time in the future, but the virus has changed the world, and we are adjusting as a result of that change.
I understand the conditions that we are under today. I think we all are very hopeful that the future will be a lot better. And by the time these buildings are built, hopefully we'll be in a lot better place. Thank you.
And I mean, if things are better in the future, the municipality will benefit from that because rents, either retail or residential, can go up, and that is what is good about a pilot. When they go up, the revenue to the municipality goes up.
Okay, thank you, Mike,
Mark?
and thank you, Ms. Garcia.
If I may, and through you, Council President, Mr. Hanley, Easier brought up a point that he was questioning, you know, he brought up a scenario that to vote the pilot down, to vote the changes to the pilot down. So if that were to happen, and under his idea that, you know, that Stanberry would have to make, what was the suggestion? 800 units? I'm curious, how many children would come from a non-pilot project that has 800 apartment units? Would it be significantly more than the original one?
It would definitely be significantly more. I mean, you would be building different types of units and at a different level of cost. These units produce a very small number of children because they are very expensive and very small. And if you want to come up with a different solution, it's probably cheaper, larger units that produce more children. Or, you know, many, many more units, which, you know, more units produce more children. So there's no factual basis under which that would be true. If you double the amount of units under any case, it goes up. But to do so would require changes that we wouldn't be comfortable with anyway. You know, it's important to remember in the context of all this, and Ed can speak to this more eloquently than I can, but there has been a lot of time put into the way this project is designed and what's actually put here that will make it something very, you know, that Parsippany can be proud of. And this administration has spent a lot of time making this the best deal possible. The waiver of the Kelly Act, which we haven't discussed, the design, which we haven't discussed. All these things were done, you know, a couple of years ago to make this a great project for the municipality. And they shouldn't be forgotten. And keeping them, as opposed to having a different project that's many more units and much less favorable from a, you know, from an aesthetic perspective to the municipality, I don't see how we win by that. But, you know, I mean, those are my personal points of view. But there are a couple of points that, in the context of these changes, we didn't discuss and shouldn't be forgotten.
Thank you, Michael.
Mike, Janice McCarthy, is there, now there's two entities, this is now a joint venture? So there's a joint venture partner in the project?
Yeah.
So, and they've committed money to the project as well?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak for Stanberry, but they're not admitting partners who aren't contributing to the project. I don't, you know, I'll let Mark speak to that and as much as he wants to, but you know, this is an economic deal that requires everyone to invest money and make a reasonable profit. And we think we've negotiated the lowest reasonable profit that we can from the municipal perspective.
But does the investment change anything? I mean, we were talking with the original agreement, how that affects the agreement now, if there's more money.
Well, no, I mean, they had the partnership existed when we did this the first time around. So there's no change from that perspective. But whether you have one partner or two partners or 10 partners, there's still a equity return and a debt limit that needs to be respected. I mean, we don't recommend doing pilots on deals that don't need them. And we, went through the economics of this project, and this project requires the financial assistance that exists in this deal. And this deal, there have been no financial changes to the agreement between the municipality and the redeveloper. So it's the same level of pilot that we started with 2 years ago. But the economics of the project have gone down. So the returns to the developer are not as good as they were when we did this before.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Do we have any other questions from council at this point? Because we're going to go ahead and move on to another public participant. All right, seeing Nick Homiak's hand up. Can we unmute Nick, please?
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, Nick, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. What I'm hearing, I agree with Mr. Venuzia. I hear a developer, a speculator. We need affordable housing. We have office, retail, and a landscape already saturated with office and retail, empty, vacant. That is speculation. So you're asking the people of Parsippany to help you overcome your hardship, and at the end, it will be their expense. Now, forget about COVID-19, that's part of it, but our economy, the trickle-up economy, we have an economy to nowhere. Most people don't even have enough money to get married and have kids. The whole thing is just ridiculous. And why would Mr. Payroll say if we lose 1515 as an affordable housing site, we lose it forever, and the affordable housing people will go somewhere else? That's not true. If it's a viable strategic location, be it regional or local, does anybody know that? What demands are we meeting? Or regional, local? But the bottom line, we need affordable. Everything should be affordable. The whole economy is backwards. So to ask the people of Parsippany to help another developer, and this deal was made by our former attorney, who was a developer's attorney. In my opinion, he represented a conflict of interest. He gave UPS a pilot deal. What did they need a pilot deal for? I could see if we need all the phases of our government from Washington down to subsidize affordable housing, not local taxpayers help the speculator, because, what proof do you have that your office or your retail was going to make anything to begin with? It's like it's a fantasy in an economy that hasn't really been working for ordinary people. And we have plenty of time, like Mr. Venuzia says, to work out this affordable housing, where people are going to work if they have a job, where they're going to travel, where they're going to get back, where they're going to shop. There's no science behind it. It's like a developer's giveaway. And and if we don't know everything, then how could we agree to this deal? It doesn't make any sense. And it seems to me that there's escape clauses and, there's all this money coming, but then it's going to go away and then it's going to come back again. None of it makes any sense. And I think we should just erase the whole thing and forget about it. Or, so if we had 800 affordable housing units, if every unit in that 1515 was affordable, wouldn't that be nice? But we're not going to get it. What is developer or speculator for profit? In the end, we're going to pay to overcome his hardship. So I say no.
All right, thank you, Nick, for your comments. Let's see if there are any other participants that would like to speak. Okay, I don't see anyone else. So at this time, I'd like to have a motion to close the public hearing for ordinances number 2020-34 and 2020-35.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Mr. Carriffy. Whereas the above ordinances were read in title on second reading and a hearing held thereon, now therefore be it resolved that said ordinances be passed on final reading and that notice of final passage of said ordinances be published in the newspaper according to law. Now, before I make a motion on each individual ordinance, what I'll do is at this point, prior to the motion, we'll go ahead and if any of the council members have any questions or comments at this time, you can go ahead and ask.
I'd like to make a couple comments. First off, the point that Mr. DePiero had brought up earlier was, we've been told by our experts and this and that about the fair share housing. We had to reach a certain number. So if this project were not to go through, that number of 449 apartments we would have to find that 449 apartments somewhere else in town to meet our obligation, our current obligation. Secondly, which would mean that would have to go somewhere else instead of on Route 10 on the very outskirts of our town. If another developer, if this project doesn't go through and there's 800, 1,000 apartments that are built there, Mr. Hanley stated that we would get a lot more children, obviously, would be coming into our town. So I could only imagine the overburden that would put on the Board of Ed. I know, Earl, it's been discussed in previous meetings a way back that I know the council, I'll speak for myself, I think the rest of the council was under the impression that we agreed that we would give part of a portion of the pilot money to the Board of Ed to make up for whatever students are coming out of there. I would hope that would definitely happen. I know I am in favor of that. I want that to happen. So I would just want that on the record.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Carriffy.
Colette, and Council President, my concern has always been with the financial agreement. In my opinion, I do think this project is dense. If you compared it to the Avalon project in Boonton, I think there's 350 apartments. That's approximately 17 acres. And Stanbury is 498 on 12 acres. So I think that's a pretty dense project. I also see pilots being more applicable for projects like Avalon, where there was $17 million in environmental remediation. And I continue to think that a development project in a prime location on Route 10 should be able to secure financing. I'd like to see Fire District receive some money because I think that equates to about $40,000 in taxes. So, those are my comments.
Any other comments?
Councilwoman.
I will echo what Paul said. I've also made a commitment that we should give a share of that money to the school board to cover their expenses for any school children that come out of this any of our COA agreements.
Okay, thank you, Council President. Any other comments from members of council?
Loretta Grignani. I voted yes to the pilot for Stanberry's District 1515 in 2019. The previous pilot, the township was receiving more money with less apartments. With this amended proposal, we will be receiving less money with more apartments. When originally presented, the plan was for 242 apartments. Over the years, it has been increased to include office buildings and additional apartments totaling 441. We are asked now to approve a total of 498 apartments. This most recent request to amend their pilot agreement is due to COVID-19, preventing them from receiving finances. I believe we will be setting a precedent by offering relief to a developer because of COVID-19. Parsippany residents are also being affected by COVID-19. They continue to pay their real estate taxes. Should we not look into offering them relief? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Grignani. Any other comments from members of council or administration? Okay. Seeing none, at this point now, we're going to go ahead and move into motions. Can I please have a motion to approve the resolution for the above ordinance 2020:34?
Motion.
Can I get a second? Okay, motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Mr. Carriffy on the resolution for ordinance 2020:34. Going into roll call, Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
No.
Ms. McCarthy?
No.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 3-2. I'm gonna move next to, if I can have a motion to approve the above resolution, the resolution for the above ordinance, 2020:35.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Mr. Carriffy. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
No.
Ms. McCarthy?
No.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 3-2. Moving along to ordinance 2020:36, amending chapter 83 of the Township Code entitled Licensing Regulations related to distance between licensed premises. The ordinance above was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills, on December 7th, 2020. The ordinance was introduced at the November 24th, 2020 regular meeting. I have a motion to accept the ordinance 2020:36 third and second and final reading.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Janet.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the public hearing for ordinance 2020:36. Can I have a motion to open up the public hearing?
Take a motion.
I get a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson? Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Floor is open to the public on ordinance 2020:36. Let's take a look to see if any members of the public want to comment on this ordinance. Okay, doesn't look like any members of the public have their hand up. Let's have a motion to close the public hearing, please.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Mr. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Motion passes, whereas the above ordinance was read on second reading and a hearing held thereon, now therefore be resolved that said ordinance be passed on final reading and that notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law. Could I have a motion to approve the above resolution?
Motion.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call. Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
yes,
Motion passes. Then moving on to the non-consent agenda. Resolutions are 2020-228, authorizing the Sustainable Jersey Grant application. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
yes,
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
yes,
Okay, moving along to R 2020-229, waiving uniform construction code permit fees for outdoor dining structures. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. McCarthy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call. Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
yes,
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
And Mr. DePiero?
yes,
Moving along to R 2020-230, sale of tax sale certificate number 04963, and accepting the bid submitted by Wildlife Preserves Incorporated for same. Could I have a motion to approve the above, please?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
yes,
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
yes,
Moving along to R 2020-231, execution of a shared services agreement with the Township of East Hanover for public health services. Could I have a motion to approve the above resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. McCarthy, seconded by Mr. Carriffy. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
yes,
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson? Mr. DePiero?
yes,
Okay, moving along to R 2020-32, authorizing the renewal of the township's membership in the Garden State Municipal Joint Insurance Fund. Could I have a motion to approve the above resolution? Can I have a motion?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
yes,
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson? Mr. DePiero? Mr. DePiero?
yes,
Okay, motion passes. Moving along to R 2020-233, application to the Morris County Improvement Authority or such other authorized issuer of bonds for the issuance of non-recourse bonds under the redevelopment area bond financing law in connection with the redevelopment of that certain property within the township identified as Block 200, Lot 1.2, and Lot 1.3. Could I have a motion to approve the above resolution?
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
no,
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
And Ms.
So, wait a minute, what was that? 2233?
This had to do with the red.
No, I'm sorry. I got confused.
Okay, not a problem. So just to clarify, we have a motion by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Mr. Carriffy is a yes vote. Ms. Grignani is a no vote. Ms. McCarthy is a no vote. Ms. Peterson
Yes.
is a yes vote, and Mr. DePiero.
yes,
Yes vote. Motion passes 3-2. All right, going to the consent agenda. Be it resolved, all items listed with an asterisk are routine and non-controversial by the Township Council will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Carriffy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
yes,
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
yes,
Okay, moving along to approval of payroll and bills list. CFO Juan Uribe recommends authorization for payment. Number one, authorized payment of the December 23rd, 2020 regular miscellaneous payroll estimated at 1.6 million. And number two, payment of bills from voucher list of 12/15/2020 through 12/17/2020, which is $1,667,285.82. Could I please have a motion to approve the above authorization?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call. Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Okay, for the public at this point, we are going to be moving into an executive session. Just for the public, so you're aware, we do not anticipate any action. Is that correct, Ms. Villatte?
That is correct.
Okay, so just for the public, so you're aware, if you don't want to stick around, you're more than welcome to log off. After the closed session, we'll be logging back on so we can basically close the meeting. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go into the executive session resolution, whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the Township Council wishes to discuss attorney-client privilege litigation, Parsippany Troy Hills, Police Captain James Carriffy versus Township Parsippany Troy Hills, governing body of the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills, and former Chief Michael Peckerman, Appellant Division, docket number A-2356-0597-17T1, parentheses, Carriffy 1, and attorney-client privilege litigation, James Carriffy versus James R. Barbario, John Panglicino, Esquire, Paul Phillips, Aurora Information Security and Risk, LLC, Township Parsippany Troy Hills, a law firm of Inglesino, Webster, Wichiscala, and Taylor, LLC, Matthew Ferrante, and Fielder, Appellant Division, docket number A-0597-17T1, parentheses, Carriffy 3. And whereas minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires confidentiality, the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township Parsippany Troy Hills that the public be excluded from this meeting. Could I get a motion to adjourn to closed session, please?
Motion.
Motion. Second.
Motion made by Ms. McCarthy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call. Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Motion passes. If you can please take us into closed session. Okay, we're now in public session. Could I please have a motion to reconvene into open session?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call. Mr. Carriffy?
He's out.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's pretty late now. Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Okay, can I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Motion. Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, roll call by, roll call. Sorry, I'm tired. Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Happy holidays to everyone. Thank you, and you all have a good night.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Good
Merry
night.
Christmas.
Good night. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.